So, the pound reaching an all-time low against the dollar yesterday, the euro a fresh 20-year low against the dollar. What does it all mean for the price of your grocery shop? Very pleased to be joined in the studio now by Tom Harvey, Commercial General Manager at Spinneys. Tom, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Right, simple question for you. Does falling currencies mean lower prices?
In simplistic terms, yes, it does. It's not a knee-jerk reaction to what happened yesterday. We've been having some fairly robust conversations with a lot of our suppliers for quite a few months now, because we've had a big slide in the price of sterling and a number of other currencies. And yes, we will be passing some of this on to our customers in the coming days.
Give me an idea of what those negotiations, those chats look like behind the scenes.
Well, some of them are fairly straightforward because we have some great partnerships. Some of them are a little bit more robust. We can see that obviously we're now in a situation where not just the pound, but euro, the rand, New Zealand dollar, a lot of the other currencies that we are sourcing in, and we source directly from those customers, countries, are seeing some very big slides. So we are being very firm in our approach. We will reduce our prices on fresh items this week. We're going to take 20 million dirhams of cost out of our retail prices, and there'll be more coming. We have got some suppliers who are pushing back, using different responses in terms of some of the inflationary pressures. We don't agree with all of them, and that may mean whether we're working with them or not is something we'll have to wait and see.
How heated do some of these conversations get?
Oh, look, it's a professional environment, so it's always very civilised. But we want to make sure that we and our customers are getting a fair sense of value in terms of what we and they are paying.
So, 20 million dirhams, you said, in terms of cuts. What will that look like for individual products? Give me some sense of what we're talking.
Okay, so there's a wide variety of products that we're doing this across, and this will continue. So fresh is where it happens from the start. So you'll start to see some of the more rapid goods that we bring in very quickly, such as our viennoiserie croissants will come down by 10%. So from 5 dirhams 50 down to 5 dirhams. The price of cheddar that we source from the UK, the Spinneys food cheddar, is going to come down from 60 dirhams a kilo to 50 dirhams a kilo. Scottish salmon from 145 to 125. So we're talking around between 10 and about 17, even up to 20% reduction in costs across a wide range of goods. About 200 lines we're going to cut this week, and there will be more coming in the coming weeks.
Is it largely, or firstly, going to be the Spinneys' own branded lines, or will there be the more commercial lines as well?
There'll be a wide selection. I mean, actually, there's more of a focus on some of the things that are not Spinneys food, because Spinneys food lines in general are about 15 to 20% cheaper than the national brand equivalent. So some of them are Spinneys food, but there's also quite a lot of the branded items where you'll start to see that coming down as well.
How long does it take for the falling currency to be reflected in prices? I guess I'm asking how long some of your contracts and agreements are with food providers.
So the contracts vary. They vary depending on the supplier. They vary depending on the type of product. So some of the very ultra fresh products and things like fruit, where it's very seasonal, we can be pricing that and agreeing different prices almost on a weekly basis. Currency will be one aspect with that. There's also seasonal. There's weather influences. We want to have stability in our pricing, so as much as possible we try and have a price that is effectively there on an indefinite basis until such time as a major input cost has an impact. So that's why we are able to do things very quickly on some of the fresh areas. We will see it come through into longer life groceries, pasta, coffee, tinned goods will all be coming down in price, but it takes a little bit longer because the goods that we've got on the shelves are things that we might have bought a couple of months ago. So it's got to turn that stock around and be when we buy the new stock to see those prices coming down.
What about products that come from the US? We've heard a lot of the FMCG companies talk about their higher input costs, higher wages. What are we seeing happen to prices there?
Well, we are still seeing higher input costs in a lot of areas, but the point is now that some of these input costs on a global level have come off. Wheat is still more expensive than it was this time a year ago, but the level of increase is much less. So rather than talking about a 70% increase in the cost of wheat, we're talking about a 30% increase in the cost of wheat. We're talking about oil prices now being sub $85. That has an impact onto freight. That has an impact onto sea freight and air freight. So there are a number of things that are starting to reduce. And whilst there are still rising costs in some areas, we actually think we're, if not at the top, fairly close to the top, and should start to see even American prices start to fall soon.
You're calling peak inflation, Tom?
I'm close to it. I don't want to say exactly that on air, but what we're seeing is certainly a significant slowdown in particularly the month-on-month levels of inflation.
We've got 1 minute left with you. What about the supply chain issues that we've been discussing for the last couple of years? Where are we with that?
So the supply chain issues are improving. We can see that in two ways. Firstly, as I've mentioned before, cost of freight is coming down. Partly that is a fact that the availability of freight is improving. There are still some bottlenecks, and there will continue to be a few challenges. There are supply issues still on certain goods coming out, particularly from Ukraine, because of the issues with the ports there. But it is getting better, and we can definitely see that the availability on our shelves is improving. But we've been really pleased with how it's been for the last 2 years in comparison to many other markets anyway.
10 seconds, when will people see a lower grocery bill? When will they feel this?
It'll be by the end of this week.
Tom Harvey, Commercial General Manager at Spinneys, talking to us about what a lower pound, record low against the dollar yesterday, and a euro at a fresh 20-year low around the dollar, mean for their grocery business.
Dubai Eye 103.8.
Join the conversation.